how to edit in Talon, how to like fix mistakes, how to move around quickly. I don't have a full answer for that, but I can show you some of the things I do in order to move around and edit and fix mistakes quickly in Talon. Now, a lot of this is not generic Talon stuff. It requires cooperation from your editor. Different editors will have different ways to do this. So I'm just going to show off how I do it in Emacs. So here's a sample program. So let's suppose that I wanted to, without touching my keyboard or even using the mouse, change this in various ways. Let's suppose, for example, that I wanted to change fail unless equal to be snake case instead of camel case, right? So that there were underscores here. Here's how I would do that. I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to explain what I was doing. Talon wake, leap word fail, air, swallow, snake fail unless equal, Talon sleep, cancel, Talon sleep. You will notice that the mistake I made at the end inserted a 10. But okay, what happened there was a chain of several commands. The first thing is I was down here and I needed to be up here, right? Or let's go look at the original copy of the program. I was down here and I needed to be up there. Now, if you're comfortable using the mouse, honestly, my advice is just use the mouse to do that. But if you're not comfortable using the mouse, what I used was a mode in Emacs called AVY mode. So AVY, what's it called? Jump. So AVY is, I'm not sure what to look at to give you a native what it is, but it's spelled AVY, or I'm not sure how it's pronounced. But it basically gives you some commands that you can use to quickly jump around by giving it a single character or a whole word or something. It will quickly find all of the places on screen where that character is, and it will highlight them. So I believe for me, this is bound to control colon. So actually, let me look at the code. AVY, right. The code in my Talon file that does this is this. So this just says that the word leap runs the key control colon. The key control colon runs the command avi go to char timer, which does this, reads some characters and allows you to jump to things matching the first one. So how that would work in practice is you would hit control colon, and then you would type some characters. So let's type FA. I typed FA. You can see down here, it's showing FA. And you can see that it's highlighting all the places in all of the buffers I have open where FA occurs. There's currently just 2 of them, over here and over here. And I can go to the one marked A by hitting A and the one marked B by hitting B. Right? So this allows you to move around pretty quickly just by giving the characters in the place where you're trying to go. Right? And I've basically just rigged up, like, it doesn't require any more rigging than this. I just rig up leap to issue that key press. So I say leap fine air to do control colon followed by FA, and that will show me all the places where FA is, just like I did previously. Leap fine air, air. Right, so that's an example of using it with your voice, right? It's not as fast as it could be because it always requires you to pause between saying the thing you're trying to leap to and then saying the index of the thing, right? So I had to say leap fine air, then wait for it to highlight all the places, then say air to go to the one I wanted. But yeah, it's pretty useful for getting to very precise places without using the mouse. Okay. The next thing I did was swallow. I think in Knaus Talon by default, this is clear word write, but I use it a lot, so I just have it bound to the single command swallow, and it clears the word in front of point. So that cleared fail unless equal, like that. And then I used snake fail unless equal to just write it out in snake case. I think there was something else I could have done too. So this is a useful command. Let's try and demo it. You can say snake that or use another formatter to reformat the thing you have selected. Let me just try that. Mark second spring, snake that. As you can see, that didn't really work. And I think that's because snake that expects the commands, expects the thing that you're reformatting to be space separated. So if I had this selected, snake that, then it would work. But unfortunately, it was already camel cased and there was nothing I could do about that. So I just had to re-say it.
Seems like an opportunity for a fix.
Yeah, that would require some smarts, right? Because it would need to figure out, okay, you want me to reformat this, but how is it currently formatted? Right, which is a sort of, how do you figure that out? You could make an educated guess. So that would definitely be an improvement, but yeah.
Yeah. I guess you could also, yeah, you could have like, you could have,
right, you could tell it the source format. You could say, turn that from camel to snake or something.
Exactly, yeah, camel to snake or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right. So that was like a demo of Leap, right, or of AVY mode, which is, I think in Vim, this is called easy motion. If there's Vimmers out there.
I put in the chat, yeah, for Vim, you would use easy motion, and for VS Code, you'd probably use MetaGo, unless someone knows a better one. I put a link in the chat. I don't know if that's helpful for the recording, but.
Yeah. Other than that, I would say so combining formatters. There are a bunch of formatters. And they can be sort of chained together in various ways. So for example, there is, what's an example of two formatters? There is all caps, which is probably, there's all caps, which like makes things shouty. And there is snake, which makes things underscore separated. And you can combine these just by going all cap snake, and then you'll get something that looks like this. Oops. Right, so as a demo of that, all cap snake hello world. Right, so you can combine formatters, and that's occasionally useful, right? So for example, I think in many languages, like constants are written in this version. They're written in all caps snake case. Another thing you can do is, and this is somewhat recent, I think this only happened a few months ago, within a formatter, you can put punctuation and other stuff, and you can then switch to a different formatter. So an example of how this is useful, let's say I was trying to say foo bar dot, oh no, foo and bar are bad words. Let's go with words that are ordinary English words. Hello world dot, I don't know, I just smashed a bunch of things together. If I wanted to say this, I would say camel hello world point, because that's what I say for the period character. Actually, let's say period, because that will work for people who are on default Knaus. Snake goodbye yesterday. So let's try that and make sure it does what I think it does. Camel hello world period snake goodbye yesterday. And that almost worked, except that it parsed goodbye as two separate words. Nothing I can do about that. I mean, there is something you could do about that, which is you could tell it, Actually, I don't know what you do about that. But anyway, that was a demo of how that works.
Isn't there like a preferred homophones thing?
There's like remappings, word remappings, but that's only for single words. You could use additional words. I think that would probably work. And tell it that goodbye should be goodbye. I kind of don't want to show additional words because it includes some stuff that I don't want to have recorded. So
But,
anyway,
but that's how you would do that is because for example, every time I say Talon, it does talent. So what would I do?
So for that, those is a single word. So for that, I would use words to remap, words to replace. Sorry.
Okay, perfect.
Words to replace.csv. So you can see here is some of my words to replace.csv, and it's mostly capitalizing things and, like you said, misspellings, right? And some stuff that's a bit specific to me. But yeah, you would say like talent, the replacement first, then the original. So if you did that, it would always only ever produce Talon, never talent.
Okay, perfect. And so you just put it in words to replace.csv. Oh, that's great. I don't know why Talon is in there by default. I guess some people say talent, but
yeah, talent is a normal English word that you might want to say. I mean, Talon is just unfortunately named from the perspective of voice recognition because it's not a common word and it has much commoner homophones.
Right. Ironically, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And TMT will also in chat mentions potentially demonstrating nope that and nope that was snake.
Yeah. Oops, hold on. Yeah, that's a good idea. So in Knaus Talon by default, it's called nope that. I've renamed it to scratch that, except for nope that was. So yeah, okay. First, I'll show scratch that, which again in Knaus Talon will be nope that. So that basically deletes the last thing you said. So let's give an example. Phrase, hello, this is a test. Undo. Go bottom. North. Phrase, hello, this is a test. Scratch that. Phrase, hello, this is a test. So that was fortuitous. I actually made a mistake. That scratch that was helpful to correct. And this will work for stuff that you say via phrase. It will also work for stuff that you emit via formatter. So for example, push snake hello world. Scratch that. Snake hello world. Okay, so that's scratch that is pretty simple, or nope that, I think, in Knaus Talon. So there's also nope that was. Let me just double check whether I have that. I might have removed that. Well, why don't I just double check it by using it. Snake hello world. Nope, that was camel. Yeah, so that deletes what you just said and reformats it using, whatever formatter you name. So yeah, that was nope and scratch that, which are very useful. I believe Knaus Talon by default also has scratch that in dictation mode, which will delete the last thing you dictated. So yeah, I don't know why it's called nope that in command mode and scratch that in dictation mode. I should push a PR about that. But these are very useful commands. All right. Unless anybody else has a suggestion, we'll move on to using line commands. So let's say I wanted to move the definition of this median function down below the definition of this class. And I was over here. So there are various ways you could do this. So here's like one way that just uses the command go line number. And if you're interested, all of these commands are in Yeah, line commands.talon and also its corresponding line commands.py. So the command we'll be using is up here. This is a slightly customized file from Canals.js default. Not all of it is the same as in Canals.js default, but most of it has corresponding things. So let's try and use those to do what I just said, move median below the class. Go to, select down 7th, cut that, go 6, paste that. Exchange, enter. No spaces. Right. So that was still slightly annoying because I had to say select down 7th. So I had to count lines. And in fact, I guessed and I happened to guess right the first time. And that's always nice when you do that, but it is annoying when you get it wrong. So what I could have done instead is used one of these, cut number until number, right? So let's try using that to do the work instead. Cut 7 until 14. Go 3, paste that. So as you can see, that was considerably faster. So these are really nice commands to get used to because just saying line numbers is really nice and simple and is a lot easier than moving your cursor around a bunch. So yeah, these are pretty straightforwardly useful. They're fairly easy to learn. Go look at linecommands.talon and just practice those is my advice. Where were we? Okay. All right, drawspring, ditch, and swallow. So these are specific to me. Again, Canals.js Talon has these by default, but I use them a lot, especially when editing prose, but also when editing code. You saw before that I used swallow to remove fail unless equal. So just as a quick demo, yeah, let's say what these are. So I have draw for, whoops, word left for, I think what Talon calls go word left, or Canals.js calls. I have spring, whoops, for what Talon calls go word right. I have scratch or ditch. I haven't settled on one of them yet. I probably should. For clear word left and swallow for clear word right. And I find these useful just because it increases the speed at which you can use them. And it also sort of helps you memorize them once they're single words, right? It's harder to get used to at first, but once you've got them in your muscle memory, they're useful. And they're especially useful because you can iterate them. So swallow third, right? Clears three words to the right. So let's try, I don't know, dictating some text. We have a text that I can dictate off the top of my head. I'm thinking Jabberwocky, but I don't think voice recognition will do well with Jabberwocky. Well, let's just try something. Dictation mode. Command mode. Say hello, comma. This is a simple test to see whether I can catch an error and correct it using draw, spring, scratch, and swallow, period. Command visual lines mode. Head. Right, so we can see a couple of errors here. So let's start fixing them. Spring, swallow, comma. Head south spring, comma, spring, comma, spring, comma. Head north flycap. Right. So that was actually also a demo of two commands I didn't mention, which is head and tail. Those are just home and end keys because those go to the beginning of the line or the end of the line. Right. So home does this, tail does that. So in Talon, in Canals.js by default, you can just use home and end. I think in linecommands.talon, there's lend and bend. But yeah, whatever's comfortable for you, I use head and tail. So head, tail, spring, and draw are really useful for quickly navigating around text within a line. And yeah. And unless there's any questions about that, I will talk about previous and next character, which are also, these are probably more useful for editing code. So these I have wired up somewhere. Oh, these are Emacs specific. Search buffer word previous. Go top. Switch word slow push. Go top, search word previous. Talon sleep. Okay, right. So here are these commands. What these basically do is allow me to say next followed by a character, and it issues a somewhat complicated sequence of Emacs commands to go to the next occurrence of that character. I really ought to wire this up so that you can use it in other editors, because this is a very useful command and probably easy to implement in other editors. But what it allows you to do is, neck rub, neck wrangle, neck lub third, pre-ditto, mark, neck ditto second, neck ditto, neck ditto, neck ditto, cut that, paste that, neck lub, head. So they're just, yeah, that wasn't the most convincing of demos, but they're just basically useful commands for moving around quickly, because you often want to get to the closest occurrence of a particular character in one direction. So I, again, suggest wiring up your editor to be able to do this if you can.